Alright everyone, if the amount of background noise is a little bit higher than usual, I've actually got a larger fan setup right now. I'm still improving my recording setup generally. It's time to talk about the wall again because 1.5 billion was just allocated to build almost 100 miles of border wall from Pentagon funding, and this is exactly what I said would be necessary. What happens is every year, year over year, Congress throws limitless hundreds of millions of dollars into defense spending through the Pentagon, and it's not specifically earmarked for anything. They can use it for whatever discretionary spending they happen to judge appropriate. This is why we have so much budgetary bloat in a military sense. But one advantage that it does do is it gives the executive branch potentially more latitude in dispersing that money for something if Congress is obstructing. And so now you have the money freed up, the disbursement is there, that particular amount of wall will be built. This is like a lot of people, they were reeing basically, and concluding some Trump fans, like, oh, the wall will never be built, Trump is, dragging his heels. The problem is that the Pentagon, you have to wait for them to dispense the money, number one, which has happened now. Number two, in regards to the rest of the wall construction under the border deal that Trump struck, which admittedly was 9-1 what the Democrats wanted basically, it doesn't restrain him from seeking additional funding. And this is why when everyone else was having a problem and practically melting down if they were in favor of a border wall, I was sitting there laughing. Because the border deal is totally separate. It doesn't affect other spending that can be allocated to build the rest of the wall. It just has to do with the spending within the bill itself. So it never mattered. And it gave him his State of the Union, gave him a boost right when he needed it, by the way, and overall was a net positive for Trump. It was actually a victory for him. It just seemed like a defeat at the time, until now. Because now more wall is going to be built with different money. It's going to come through the Pentagon. Further, you have to wait for a court decision. Because you got to understand, for the rest of the spending, he's somewhat throttled. He can't really do anything until the Supreme Court essentially weighs in. An injunction was issued in a weaponized fashion by the Ninth Circuit, which has done this continuously for decades now. It continues to stand in the way of what is necessary and proper for the functioning of our nation. It does so for politically partisan reasons. Essentially, the Ninth Circuit is nothing more than the weaponized judiciary arm of the DNC at this point. Hopefully Trump gets a chance to clean house there, so to speak. Which may happen. Justices get old, they have to be replaced, they retire, they die, or whatever. But here's another chunk of wall funding that comes from out of the blue, and behold, it's not being spoken of very much in the lamestream legacy media now, is it? That's because it couldn't come at a worse time for people on the left. Look, Venezuela's melting down, undercutting the socialism bullshit. The economy's continuing to roar ahead. Trump, his approval is already peaking out above 45, and then this happens, potentially giving him a boost with his core fans and the center right. They're having a tough fucking month now, aren't they? This is a great time for Trump. He's sitting there chuckling. Mueller report ends. That cloud is basically passed over him. The rain has stopped and the sun has come out as far as his potential approval goes. Yeah, he could hit 50. Yeah, easily. A lot of people don't see it. One thing I will say is that some people are quite fickle. Like a lot of Trump fans, they're getting impatient. It's like, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was the U.S. border wall. We've had continuous problems. Administration after administration, presidents have talked a big talk and never even tried to walk the walk. We finally get a president who's actually trying. He gets obstructed, and then everyone gets impatient and blames him. I don't blame Trump at all for what the Ninth Circuit did. It's out of his hands. It's from the judiciary. They're the ones standing in his way. They've done this before with other things, too. But somehow they couldn't stand in his way of busing illegals when they have no choice. Trump has been prevented from deporting people in the normal fashion. I don't know exactly how they managed to do this in a legal sense. Trump can't deport people, so all he can do is dump illegal immigrants in sanctuary cities. By the way, making a lemonade out of lemons. Trump cannot do any differently than what he's currently doing on the immigration crisis. He has been fenced in and throttled. SCOTUS has to weigh in to get rid of the Ninth Circuit's obstructionary injunction. That's what you need to happen first. Then he can build the rest of his wall. Until then, he has to get Pentagon funding. He can't use eminent domain. He can't deport people in the normal manner, and he's working around that the best that he can. He's doing a good job, but it's going to take time. It's not going to be a solution. It's a bandage on a gaping wound sort of situation until SCOTUS weighs in. If I were Trump, I would go to the conservative justice. I'd be like, look, can you expedite this? Put it at the top of the docket as quickly as possible. Fucking talk about it. You have a special session. Do whatever SCOTUS shit you have to do within the judiciary. Visit the decision because it's an interest of national. It's a national emergency. He's already basically declared it that. He gets smacked down by the Ninth Circuit. What happens when an obstructionist court smacks down a national emergency declaration to try to prevent the country from having a major crisis solved? I would think that SCOTUS would expedite the decision making, because it's clear they're going to side with Trump. Yes, it is absolutely clear the executive branch has the authority to declare that a situation where tens of thousands of people a day are storming across your open, porous border at whim and can't even be deported. Yes, it is a national emergency by any sane, rational definition. Any past administration would not be obstructed in issuing a national emergency declaration. The Bush was the only other one that might have been obstructed, and then it would have been just for optics reasons by the Democrats. If Obama had said, okay, enough is enough, we're going to need to get this shit solved, nobody would have stood in his way. Everyone would have cheered with thunderous applause. Oh, promise kept, yay, Obama said that he was going to close off the border and defend it. Nobody would have had a problem. But all of a sudden, Trump tries to do that, tries to give us back our national sovereignty, and all of a sudden he's Hitler or something. Hitler's very funny these days. There's a lot of them online, come in all colors at this point too. There's female Hitlers, male Hitlers, Zier Hitlers and stuff. Hitler this time around in his new reincarnation cycle, according to the Democrats, it's Trump, wants to not disarm people, take less of their money, doesn't want to start wars, and opposes censorship. Well, he's really a reformed character this time around. It's very strange. Also eats a lot of McDonald's. I thought that wasn't Hitler pretty much a dedicated vegetarian. Never elect vegetarians, I guess should be the ethos. Trump sits there, he's the opposite. He's a meatitarian. He's just a carnivore. That's about all. Peace out.